Hey, what's going on? First Baptist Church Llano, or Llano as we call it here, from Gracias Lempira, Honduras. Hey, it's Mr. Shannon here. I'm here with Miss Christy. And hey, I just wanted to say thanks for giving us this opportunity. Also, I really enjoyed getting to visit you guys at the harbor and getting to just get to see what you're doing. I think, honestly, you got one of the best youth ministers in the world. And anyways, Craig contacted us and asked us to come in here and share a couple of things with you. And so today that's what we're going to do. And so, Craig, first question is, what do you do for a career? Well, we are missionaries and in Gracias Lempira, Honduras. And what that means is primarily, more than anything else, is that we share the gospel. Not only do we share the gospel, but we look for ways to walk with people who are struggling and people who are trying to learn how to live out their faith, and people who are struggling, whether that be spiritually or people who are struggling with problems in the world, whether they're hungry or they've got medical problems or legal problems. And so that's a lot of what we do. We live in Gracias, but we also go up into villages not too far from here. In that, we also have a radio station where we preach the gospel from there. And we also have a farm. And on the farm, we use those resources to help people in need. So it's kind of a quick little bit of what we do. As a missionary, I know sometimes we think, oh, all we got to do is just go preach or just go to live in a foreign country. But as a missionary, we do all kinds of things in all types of areas. And so we deal with economics, we deal with biology, we deal with engineering, we deal with medical field, we deal with finances, we deal with politics, we deal with the church, we deal with everything, because we believe we're supposed to walk with people throughout all areas of their lives. And while Christy and I do this together, as a whole to the people that God's called us to, we also do that in a little bit of a different way, because Miss Christy, while she is a missionary, she also has a different way to do that. And so, Miss Christy, why don't you explain a little bit?
Yeah, so like Shannon said, our job is that we are a missionary. However, the mission field that I work at is at a Christian school here in Honduras. I'm a counselor and a teacher, and I also supervise our North American staff. And so the way that I get to live life with people is to teach them in order to break cycles of poverty. But also I get to walk with them when they're having problems, when they're struggling with things, when they're being abused. I get to pour into them and show them what the love of Christ looks like.
Yeah, and honestly, I think education looks a little different here, right, Christy? In that, I don't know. It is a right by the government, but it's not always quality education. Would you agree with that? And so I think education and what we get to do is a little bit different. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that. It is public education here. However, there still is a cost. And so there are people who don't get to go to school because they can't afford it. Or they're not getting to go to school because they need to work in order to provide for their families. And so we're honored to be able to work at a school that really we feel like does have quality education that helps kids be able to get into college even after they leave our school.
And it's a Christian school, which means that we also get to share our faith openly. I get a small part of my week is put into the school, and where I'm a chaplain there, but also get to teach Bible classes. And so it's just a whole lot more than that, because we also get to ask students to come translate with us and walk with us as we host mission teams, and they get to use their gifts and talents as well. And so we've seen a lot of students get saved through this. We've seen a lot of students figure out who they are through this, and a lot of students figure out who God is through this. And so honestly, to tell you the truth, it's the best career in the world. If you're thinking about being a missionary, there's all types of ways to do that. While Miss Christie focuses on education, I actually have a background in agronomy, which is plant and soil science, agriculture, and I use that a lot where we're at. So, question 2, what do you have to give up to be there? Well, obviously, we had to leave Texas, and that was, honestly, for me, I'll let Christy speak for herself, but for me, it wasn't that hard of a decision to leave Texas. It was a hard transition But initially, it wasn't hard. So we gave up the dream of having a house and the dream of having a nice car and the dream of, chasing that American dream, so to speak, chasing that dream of having nice things and always having protection and benefits from things that are provided in Texas. We had to give up a lot, probably, I would say family. Time with family would be another thing that we had to give up. And just knowing that, in some of this time and frame in our life where we have children and my parents and her parents or grandparents, like we have to give up those times where, they get to grow up with grandparents. And so we missed a lot of that. We miss weddings. We get to miss celebrations. Sometimes because of social media, we can see what everyone else is doing and we're here. And that's okay. We can do that. It's not a problem. But those are just kind of some of the things that we've kind of given up. What do you think, Christy?
Yeah, I think if you know this is where you're supposed to be, then it is an easy decision. But there's some hard moments. I think I would summarize what we had to give up as being comfort and family. Comfort in just all the things that the U.S. is known for. Things like fast food and being able to run errands very quickly.
Space in the grocery stores.
Space in the grocery stores, air conditioning. But all those are just really small things. And so I don't think it's a big deal in the long run, but it's a lot of transition time.
Yeah, and I would say, like, when we first came, what did we have to give up more than anything else, if you really want to talk about it? Dr. Pepper. That was a hard thing. Now, I don't know what side you fall on, Coke or Dr. Pepper, but we did have to give up Dr. Pepper. But thankfully, through the school and through some of the people we work with, Miss Christie was able to actually single-handedly, I'm going to check this out, get Dr. Pepper to where we live because of some of the people that go to our school, their parents own stores, and she made relationships, and she's like, oh, hey, see if your mom can get some Dr. Pepper. And now Dr. Pepper is here in Gracias. But the funny thing about that is that now that's here, we don't really drink it that much. It's not a big deal. Like when we were in the States, we drink Dr. Pepper all the time, but now it's like, it's no big deal, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
You mentioned fast food. Like, I think it's weird. A lot of people, when they think about going to another country, there's always this thought, like, I'm going to get sick. Well, actually, we get sick when we come back now. Fast food doesn't really taste that good. But I do remember a time in that transition where you were longing for some French fries from McDonald's, right? Or a biscuit.
Yeah, and I think maybe not just fast food, like as in going to McDonald's kind of thing, but food being quick. Because we have to cook everything from scratch, and there's not canned food and things like that. So
yeah. So those are a few things we had to give up. So why are you doing it? Why are we doing our career? Well, for the most part, God called us to. And that's why God's given us the grace and the ability to do this, what we do. So we do it for God. We do it because we get to, and let me clarify that. It's like, not like we're doing it for God, like we work for God, we're doing it with God. That's probably a better way to put it, because like God's going to work no matter what, but we get to join him in what he's doing. And so why are we doing it? Because honestly, it's where we're supposed to be. It's where we get the most fulfillment. It's where we know with confidence we're serving the Lord. And so that's why we do it. We do it for the gospel. We do it so that people can hear the gospel and people's lives can be changed. Not that we change them, but we're simply the tools and instruments that God uses to change people's lives. And we've seen that, which is why we keep doing it, because we keep seeing people come to Christ. We keep seeing lives change. We keep seeing people break these cycles of poverty, these financial cycles. We see them break these medical cycles where they've had long illnesses and chronic illnesses and come out of it. We've seen these so many things of God's working. That's why we do it. It's because God's working and we see those results. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be summed up. We do it because God asked us to, and this is where he called us, and so we want to be obedient in that. And whenever you're following God's will, then it makes those decisions really easy and just gives a great peace.
Yeah. Question 4, what do you got?
How has your career impacted your family? I think initially it was very difficult. If you talk to any of our older 2 children, they will say that they really struggled. However, in the long run, I think that they are better people because they have a worldview that is different than just the U.S. They're also very willing to serve other people. And so they're able to look outside just themselves, outside their family, in order to see who is needing help. And so I think that's one of the great ways that our career has impacted our family. As well, they've really gotten to grow up watching how God impacts those around them, and be able to be really strong in their faith.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would say, like, honestly, for me, I think I would not leave out how it's impacted our marriage. I think we've definitely had some struggles throughout that, as we've had to learn to lean on each other in ways we've never had to before. We've had to trust each other in ways we've never had to before, and so I think it's definitely been some strains on the marriage. But actually, in the long run, I think it's going to benefit us completely. And so I would also add, like, some examples of what you were talking about on the kids. Yeah, I mean, our oldest son was pretty angry when he first came here and kind of refused to try to even learn language. Whereas our middle one now, our middle daughter, that was just life. And so she just embraced it. I think our kids get to be bilingual, which is huge. But also, I think what's funny is, and we experience this all the time, actually, we kind of take turns doing this. When we do come back to the States, our youngest, her name's Isabella, our youngest, Isabella's about to be 10? Mm-hmm. And so when we come back to the States and she wants to go to the store to buy something, oh my gosh, it is such a process because she's overwhelmed by the choices of things. In fact, to tell you the truth, I remember here recently, I took Isabella to go buy something while Christy did shopping, and she got all of her shopping done, and Isabella still hadn't picked out one thing yet. So that's one way it's impacted them, is they just have that different worldview. Material things don't matter so much, I guess, to them a lot. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. Last question. What joy do you get out of it? What joy do we get out of what we do? Man, the joy is completely seeing lives change. That's the joy that comes. A tremendous amount of joy. And that also comes with heartache. But a lot of times with the heartache and the struggle, there's even more joy that comes out of it. And so we get joy out of seeing lives changed. We get joy out of people coming to the gospel and know Jesus for the first time. We get joy out of watching those light bulbs kick on. Oh my gosh. So many people call us Mr. Like, I'm called Mr. and she's Miss. And they're like, Mr. I had no idea. And watching their eyes light up. Just this past week, in fact, Friday, I was sitting with a pastor and we were doing a Bible study together. I was helping him form his message, and he would just, like, as we were studying, he would just stop for a minute and he would just, like, sit back and he would go, wow. Like, just seeing that light come on, like, wow, that is God's word. It's powerful. Seeing those things come on. In the villages and some of the areas we work, they call me Shanito. And so to say something to them and like to watch that light come on, sometimes they'll giggle and they'll be like, ay, Shanito. And I know that means they're getting it. Their mind was blown and their eyes were open and they saw something they never saw before. God revealed himself in a way he hadn't revealed himself before, and they saw it. And so seeing those things brings me great joy in that.
I think for me, most of the joy comes from getting to sit in God's presence and knowing that we're exactly where we need to be. And there is joy in getting to watch God change people's lives, and being able to be a part of that. Not just here, but when people come visit us from the U.S., watching God work in their lives as well, just brings a lot of joy and a peace that we are exactly where we need to be and that we get to help God in changing lives.
Well, I agree 100% with that. Well, I hope this helps you and gives you a little insight. I love this idea, Craig. This is awesome that you're letting us get to share, because you know what? Here's the last thing I'm going to tell you about joy. There's joy in sharing. There's so much. I don't think we understand this enough. There's so much joy in getting to share. You know, what if you get to do these amazing things and see God move in these amazing ways, but you couldn't tell anybody? And to see God living and active and moving and breathing in your personal life, but also in the lives of others, and then you couldn't share. So what brings us joy? Well, getting to do this right here. This is a joyous opportunity. Thank you so much for letting us do it. We hope that you guys learned something from it. Hey, Craig, you know how to get a hold of me. If you guys got any questions after this, we could clarify, send up another video for you, let you know. But what we wanted to do is we wanted to get out of the boat, and we wanted to step out in faith, and we wanted to share with you what God's doing. And so thank you guys so much for that. Hope to see you soon. And until then, keep sharing your faith and keep searching out for what God has for you. All right? God bless. Dios le bendiga. And we'll see you guys later.